Hello and welcome to the Pinfall. Today's episode is a review of Night 2 of the granddaddy of them all. Night 2 of the biggest event in live entertainment. Night 2 of the showcase of the Immortals. It's Night 2 of WrestleMania 37. My name is Wilbs and I'm joined by Barnsley and Jordan as always. I'm going to get straight to the first match on Night 2. It was Randy Orton defeating the Fiend thanks to the distraction from Alexa Bliss. What did you think of this match?
Well, I must have been the only person to predict a Randy win with a returning Fiend. But yeah, this match was just very, very weird. Not a lot really happened. And even the distraction was weird. She just sort of changed costume. And it wasn't until after the match I didn't realise how much it affected Bray. It just felt like she was part of it and not really against him. So just a very weird match and a weird way to book the Fiend on his return. I'm still a bit shocked that Randy won, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling you in the preview show to get your money on it, so I hope you did, because I think Orton was 9-10 to 1 when the match started, and I don't know about you, Wilbs, but I just, looking at this match, thought there was only one winner. It just felt like it had to be a Fiend win, because going into the match, Orton had burnt the bloody guy's house down, he'd set him on fire, and he beat him in their last meeting at WrestleMania. So for me, there was only one outcome, and the only logical outcome was that the Fiend was going to level the score, and it was going to put an end to it, and we were going to move on, and now I'm not so sure. Are we still going to get this feud continuing? Very, very weird match. Like, I still don't really get it. I'm bemused by it, really.
Yeah, for me, it was a bit of a weird way to start Night 2 of WrestleMania. Just sort of the production of the match and then sort of the shock factor as well. It was good to see sort of the Fiend back in his old gear because I wasn't a fan of that burnt sort of mask. But yeah, it was a sort of a short match as well. I was looking at the time, I think it was under 6 minutes. I was sort of hoping for a bit more from that match, to be honest. But yeah, obviously Alexa Bliss with the distraction makes you think, where are they going to go from here?
Yeah, I know you sort of say it was weird. It was the opener. In a way, I was sort of happy it was the opener because I was like, right, we get this out of the way now. And it was just, yeah. I mean, until they started wrestling, I was actually quite intrigued by what was going to happen. I liked all the build up to it. I liked the way that they'd been building with the Jack in the Box sort of thing that Alexa Bliss had, and they had one on the show. I thought it was the story had progressed. It was there, and then he jumped onto Orton. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is this could be all right. And then from that point, it was just we got about 3 DDTs of Orton off the ropes. We got obviously the distraction from Alexa Bliss. And I mean, this guy has been hit with sledgehammers, chairs. You think back to that Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins, where he's basically indestructible. And now all of a sudden, one RKO beats him. It was just, I don't know, it's such weird booking for me. And yeah, I don't know where they're going to go with this.
Yeah, it was weird selling because he did a lot of no sells, and then the one RKO. But I guess this just turns into Bliss Fiend feud now. God knows what will come of it. I imagine this is a way to get Randy out of it and maybe onto something different. But just very bemusing. I think Randy's entrance probably took longer than the match itself. Not sure where either go from here.
Yeah, with Orton, the only good thing for him in this match is lots of numbers add up for him now. I think he's now tied third most WrestleMania appearances with Kane and HBK on 17. So he's just behind Triple H and Undertaker now. So if he's talking openly about wrestling for the next 10 years, he can definitely maybe have the most appearances ever at WrestleMania. He'd not won at WrestleMania since, I think he'd last beat The Fiend in 2017. He'd had 3 straight losses since then. So it sort of gets him back on the map at Mania, and you sort of feel like top stars, they don't keep losing it on the biggest show, and he's probably got a big say in his own sort of creative writing now. So I'm not sort of surprised that he would. I don't think he would go 4 years in a row without winning, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it was, like I say at the beginning, it was just good to get this one out of the way, and once it finished, and I suppose we'll get the fallout of that on Raw tonight.
Okay, the next match we had was the Women's Tag Team Championships. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defend their titles against Natalya and Tamina. Interesting to get your thoughts on this one, because we were obviously talking about the turmoil match night one, and we were saying how we hoped that they'd sort of be building the tag team division up, and it seems like it did the world of good for Natalya and Tamina.
Yeah, I think we buried the women's tag division on night one, and I think I'm here to bury it again because it was a slow start to WrestleMania night 2 for me. I wasn't impressed with the Fiend matches we've just discussed, and this one didn't do anything for me really either. I think the best thing that one of the most cynical, enjoyable moments for me was when Baszler nearly kicked Natalya's head off. But yeah, I just nothing really got me excited in this match. Like I said on the show last night, I'm just glad that Baszler and Jax have retained the belts really. And yeah, I don't know where they go from here. They've just killed all the other tag teams on night one. And yeah, I have no idea what to say on this really.
Yeah, it was a very clunky match where it just, I don't know, they all just didn't seem to fit each other. And yeah, God, Natty ate a knee pretty savagely. I don't know if you've seen the picture she took after the fight, and I don't think she lost any teeth, but it looked like one went right through her lip, which looked pretty nasty. But yeah, just a strange match. The crowd randomly well into it. I don't know if they just had a lot more energy because the Fiend Randy match left them so confused and really wanted that Tamina win, which at one point felt like it was coming.
Mm.
But even the end of the match was just so strange and weird because Natty had Nia up for the sharpshooter, and she looked around like she knew she wasn't the legal woman. And you got like the ref in her face sort of telling her no, she's not legal, but then still sort of puts it on, and then like gets put into the clutch by Baszler and loses. So it was all just a bit silly for me. And yeah, I still think this should have been the Mania Riot Squad won it all after the tag turmoil and just give it to a proper tag team. But like Barnesy said, I imagine Jax and Baszler just stay as like the fodder for women's main title match feuds, just throw them into those tag teams.
Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as you two. I thought it was okay. I don't get wrong, it was not much tonight by any means, but I thought it was okay. And I liked how sort of Natalya and Tamina were sort of almost built over the weekend as well. I think now you look at them as a real proper sort of tag team and one that could potentially take the titles of Jax and Baszler in time to come. So I guess in that respect they've sort of done well to sort of build that team.
Yeah, I think the only reason I'm so negative about it is because when you think of like WrestleMania matches, having Nia Jax and Baszler against Tamina and Natalya for me is like, you know, that could be an opening match on any SmackDown throughout the whole year. I don't think that's a WrestleMania Night 2 match. Yeah, I've not got many good words for this, so...
All right, we move on. We move on to the pinfall favourites. We had Kevin Owens defeat Sami Zayn in a good match. This was hopefully you guys enjoyed this one because I did. Kevin Owens hit the stunner to get the pinfall. What did you think then?
I loved it. Similar to the Rollins-Cesaro match of night one, just a great singles match. I'm so glad Sami performed as he did because I was a bit concerned they're sort of giving him this heelish, sort of cowardly look, but just a phenomenal match. And I think, like you said, Will, before night one, it probably just didn't go long enough. It felt like it had easily another 5 minutes in it. And yeah, just some phenomenal spots, both just such great chemistry together, and matches like that always have fantastic moves and flow to it. And then the icing on the cake for the fans was watching Logan Paul eat a stunner from Owens, which everyone would love to see. So yeah, for what it was a great match, and hopefully it'll carry on for a little bit longer because I definitely want to see these two in a ring again.
Yeah, I echo that. It was absolutely brilliant. Similar to the Rollins-Cesaro match for me on night one, this was, a similar mid-card match, and it just delivered again. I loved right from the promo to the very end, it almost had like Austin-esque WrestleMania 14 vibes about it when Kevin Owens hits the stunner on Logan Paul, who actually sold it pretty well, to be fair, I thought. But you could see the crowd were well into it. They knew it was coming, do you know what I mean? I think that's sometimes the best, when you know it's coming, and then when it comes, you're just like, yes! And when he hit the stunner, it just delivered. Like you said, there was some really good spots in the match. The brain buster on the apron looked pretty brutal. At points, like you say, they made Sami Zayn hit the haluva kick, and you're like, oh, is he going to win? But then, we had Michael Cole call the Michinoku driver the Blue Thunder Powerbomb, which at the time I was like, it's definitely not called that. But yeah, not taking anything away from the two in the ring, they were absolutely brilliant, and I loved it. I think Logan Paul did add something to it as well, just by him being there. So I'm sure the Americans having him there as well loved it too, and he took the stunner well. So fair play all round.
Yeah, because on the previous show, I think I called him Paul Hogan because I'd never heard of him before. But obviously, it seems like he's a bit of a heel. I don't think the fans really like him too much, did they? They were booing and couldn't wait for him to get stunned. So don't know where that comes from. Also, a little stat for you, Barnsley. Doesn't know you like a stat. This is the first match from a takeover to be featured on a WrestleMania match. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, one for the NXT fans, and like George said, I also in my notes have put a little bit short. I would have happily watched another 5 minutes of this, but I guess maybe they had to use the time up to get Logan Paul's little cameo in.
Yeah.
Okay, the next match on the card, United States Championship. Sheamus defeating Riddle to become the new champion. For me, this was a really good match. Maybe one that I didn't sort of mark down as one that I thought was going to be really good, but I was well impressed with this match.
Yeah, absolutely love this match, and it comes as quite a surprise because I think in the preview show we all sort of come to terms with the fact that we weren't the biggest Riddle fans, but he actually delivered a really, really good and solid performance in this match. There was loads of really good spots, notably the finisher, where he goes for a springboard moonsault off the second rope, and he gets bro kicked, and I mean, he takes it like an absolute trooper. He sells it so well. Sheamus, new champ. I think that for him having the belt, it just rewards him for the last year that he's had in WWE. He's just been absolutely sensational. He's probably been my wrestler of 2021 maybe so far. I just think he's upped his game. He's helped carry Raw through a really sticky point. He deserves, I think, to have the belt. Just based on that, I think he's now like a 3-time US champ. So he's starting to build up quite a Hall of Fame career. When you think he's like won the Royal Rumble and he's basically won everything, been world champion. Lovely spot to end a really physical match, and even just at the end, the stare down that he gave Riddle when he's there, you can see Riddle was almost looking for a little bit of sympathy. It felt like, where he's like the blood's pouring from his mouth and stuff, and Sheamus is just there with a belt, like staring at him, just plays the heel so well, and just love Sheamus.
Yeah, such a physical match, this one. Riddle's in-ring ability can never really be questioned. It's just his character, which is a bit odd. It's like almost like talking like a 10-year-old when he's backstage. But yeah, that finish was just absolutely outrageous. If that was caught in an RKO, people will be talking about that for months. And I think we need to be talking about it in the same vein, because to catch him in mid-backflip, square in the chin, it was just absolutely insane. Fair play to Riddle agreeing to do that setup, and Sheamus kicking his teeth in, which I think was what we all once said in the prediction, and is our US champion. So the stare down at the end, it feels like this feud's not come to an end, and I imagine it goes to the next pay-per-view.
Okay, the next match was a Nigerian drum fight for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and it was Apollo Crews who beat the champion Big E. So we now have a new Intercontinental Champion. Apollo Crews had help from Dabo Kato, was it? I think he's got a new name now. Yeah. But what do you think of this Nigerian drum fight?
Well, it's essentially a glorified hardcore match. I don't even think a drum got used, which is quite funny. I'm quite glad Dabo Kato did turn up, because in the prediction I said there was rumours about him being in the Shane match. So it sort of saves half of some egg on my face. He actually did turn up for this Mania. But yeah, really good match. Probably more enjoyable than I expected. Just both two very physical wrestlers, and Big E got the jinx in the end that Matt brought up in the predictions of whoever gets sung to the ring genuinely loses at Mania. And Big E announced, I think a few days before night one, that Wally was bringing him out. So he's fallen victim to that stat as well. But yeah, good match. The introduction of Dabu Kato is good. It'd be interesting to see if they put a faction around Apollo, or it would just be them two. What I really hate was how WWE trying to make us all look stupid and think that we don't remember who this guy is. Like Graves on commentary is like, oh my God, he's massive. And like Cole's like, oh, who is this? And they even tweeted today saying, who is this guy? And every comment is literally, I think they did a Raw graphic of when he got drafted there.
Yeah.
And it's just like every comment is just that picture, which was quite good. Yeah, good match. It sounds like maybe this is Big E's time to move up the singles ladder now in SmackDown. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Apollo's reign and seeing what he does with it. I mean, last title reign he had didn't set the world alight, so hopefully with this new heel gimmick he can do better things.
Yeah, for me this was quite a short match, but I really enjoyed it actually. I didn't really hold much hope for it because we'd seen it a few times before, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought Apollo took some really big spots, that's notably the one to the stairs on the outside, and then yeah, it looked for all the world that Big E was going to retain at the end, and Dabba-Kato, as you say, come out and done the business with that. I don't know, was it like a smash with his thumb to the throat and then a massive choke slam? But yeah, like you say, it's just a little bit infuriating when they try and tell the viewer, like, who is this guy when we know? It seems just silly to me, but yeah, I actually quite enjoyed the match. And yeah, let's see what Apollo can do now, because I feel like since he's got the heel character, he's a little bit more believable, and yeah, maybe a guy on a run on SmackDown, because I think this year he was the US champ on Raw last year, and now he's been given the IC belt on this brand, so he's starting to build up a little bit of a career for himself after going back down to NXT, and I think that's now paying off for him.
Yeah, I think it's quite a big moment now for Apollo, because the mid card in SmackDown is very strong. So for him to be given his title, they obviously have got a lot of faith in him. There's definitely a lot of potential feuds as well there for him. So yeah, hopefully he does well, because he seems a decent wrestler, Apollo. So good luck to him with that. The next match was for the Raw Women's Championship, and we have a new champ. Rhea Ripley defeated Asuka to win the title. What did you think of this?
I thought it had such a big match feel at the beginning. I love Rhea Ripley getting sung to the ring. I thought that was really, really cool. And then yeah, they obviously had the announcements and the match started, and that's sort of where it went downhill for me from there. It just felt really uninspiring. It felt like it could have been just any match at the Thunderdome or on any other, TV show, pay-per-view. There was no real sort of star moment for me in the match. And then I think the ending was, again, like night one, a little bit ruined by Michael Cole, really, because I felt like where that he was involved in all of the matches across the two nights. Some of these wrestlers he's not commentated on for a period of time. And so when Rhea Ripley was doing some moves in the ring, he didn't even know what they were called. And then at the end, where she sort of rolls out of the Asuka lock, hits her with a riptide, and obviously gets the 1, 2, 3. By the time he said it's the riptide, she's already got the belt, and it's like it sort of felt like the moment was a little bit lost for me anyway. And I think that Sasha Banks and Belair set the bar so high last night that it was almost a little bit unfair that these two had to follow for the Raw side the next night, because obviously their match was just unbelievable. And I just felt this, I don't know, it just lacked something for me. It was pretty short. Yeah, there just wasn't that much quality for me, so I was a little bit disappointed.
I'm the opposite. I actually really enjoyed this match when watching it. It was just physical, heavy hitting. That DDT on the outside by Asuka was savage. I genuinely thought Rhea could have been hurt at that point. And yeah, I mean, we discussed it on the preview pod about how this Mania is a defining moment for women's wrestling and essentially could be the new dawn of post Four Horsewomen. And I'm so happy WWE pulled the trigger on it and to give these two women the chance to lead the rosters for both brands. And at such young ages as well. They've got such massive futures ahead of them. So for that, I love the ending. I thought she got a good little pop as well. And I think the big shame about this was similar to like the Banks Belair match. I just wish the build was a little bit better beforehand, but I thoroughly enjoyed the match.
Yeah, I liked it too. It's probably, as fans probably do it all the time, and maybe we shouldn't, but we're always comparing the Raw one to the SmackDown one. And maybe if you just look at this one as a one-off match, I thought it was good. Personally, I really enjoyed it. It's a sort of different sort of style to the Banks and Belair match. This one was a bit more sort of hard-hitting, where the other one was a bit more sort of athletic. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was good, personally. And hopefully Rhea Ripley now goes on a long title reign.
Yeah, I think it was just, for me, it just felt like there was no build to this match, was there? It was announced a couple of weeks ago that she was going to be in the main event. I think probably because maybe Charlotte Flair was initially meant to fight Asuka at Mania, and they've got Ripley in because of what's going on with her situation. But by her winning, she sort of completes the set of current women's wrestlers to hold all four belts now. You've got Kaylee Ray, who holds the UK NXT title, Raquel Gonzalez, who holds the NXT title, Belair and Ripley hold Raw and SmackDown. They were all four wrestlers in the first ever Mae Young Classic in 2017. So that was quite a good stat that I saw earlier when I was looking. And I think as well that Belair and Rhea Ripley now join Becky Lynch in becoming champions at their first ever attempt at winning the belt. So it just shows that they're in that that caliber of wrestler now. They're both stars of the future, and I'm not annoyed in any way that Ripley's now the champion, but I just feel like with Asuka, she had no real, like, her title run, I mean, for me, it's just not memorable at all, and she's had the belt for quite a while, and I felt like it could have been a big moment for her to maybe retain against Ripley. And I felt like when she lost to Flair a couple of years ago and she was unbeaten, that was a big moment they took away from her. And now I sort of feel like they've taken this one away from her as well. But then you look at it on the other hand, and Ripley last year probably should have beaten Flair as well. And obviously she lost, so now it's good that a year later she gets the crowd. And she's sort of done it in the reverse order to Drew McIntyre in a way. She's lost last year at the PC, was devastated by that, but come back this year and has got that big moment in front of the crowd. So yeah, I suppose it's like what you say, probably shouldn't compare it too much to the other side on the show, but for me, I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest.
She also broke the jinx of getting sung out and winning, which is always a plus. But I love you get the picture now of when Bianca and Rhea both hanging over the rope at Royal Rumble, their feet hovering, and now they can both have their picture next to that with the titles. And it's those sort of pictures and those little bits WWE always do quite nicely and quite well. So they're the bits that you look back as a fan and enjoy the most.
Yeah, WWE over this weekend have sort of really elevated the women's sort of Raw and SmackDown championships now by giving it to Belair and Rhea Ripley. So good job for that. But I need to bring up something. Their treatment of Bayley over WrestleMania weekend has got me fuming. I mean, this is someone who held the belt carried the women's division, maybe on both shows for large parts of the year. She wasn't given a WrestleMania match. And on night 2, she interrupted Hogan and Titus O'Neil to sort of get attacked and thrown down the ramp by the Bella Twins. And that was her WrestleMania moment for the year. I mean, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I feel like because of the weather in night 1, whether she was meant to do something with Becky seems more and more likely, and maybe come night 2 due to travel, COVID, or having a young child, Becky couldn't do night 2, and then I just wish they scrapped it, whatever they had planned for Bayley, because like you just said, what she's done over the last year, there's no way in hell that should be part of WrestleMania for her. It's an absolute kick in the teeth, really. And it's a shame because she seems like such a nice person that she probably won't kick up a fuss about it. and she really should, because her and Sasha, for the women's side, carried. They had all the belts. They were on every show, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, and you don't even sort of give her the gratitude of a Mania match and just thrown down a ramp. Shocking treatment, shocking.
Yeah, not much more I can probably add to that. I completely agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
The thing is, the fans were booing, and I wasn't sure if they were booing because they were expecting Becky to come down, or if they were booing because they feel like I do that that's not how you treat Bayley.
She's in your top both.
Yeah,
she's in your top. She's in your top 5 women really in ring, and she's not even on the card. And yeah, I mean, there's only so many matches you can have, but I think you've got to make sort of special circumstances for special wrestlers, and Bayley deserves better. Hashtag Bayley deserves better. I think that'll be trending.
I think you could have, mate. You should have had Bayley on the card and got rid of the women's tag titles across 2 nights, and that for me would have been absolutely fine. I think the only thing with the women's tag titles, it obviously got 8 people or whatever on the card instead of just maybe Bayley and someone else. But yeah, I'd rather see Bayley all day long over any of them 8 women.
Yeah. Okay, well that brings us now to the main event of night 2 for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defeated Edge and Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match to retain his Universal Championship. I mean, I'm sure we're all going to agree, but you can give me your own point of view. But for me, match of the night by an absolute margin.
Yeah, it was frantic, fast-paced, and just everything you expected. We're not sure whether to put Bryan in this match or not, but when it happened, I'm pretty glad he was in it, because he was very much the glue that stuck this together so well. But he just flew into shots with heavy knees, and it was just a bit of a spot fest. And yeah, I love. We've had Roman Reigns thrown down our throats as a face, and he gets booed year in and year out as a face, and now he's come back as this deadly heel, and he's getting the boos. And there was some cheers in there for him as well, but it's for the right moments, and you just couldn't take the belt off him. He's been so good. Even the victory of double pinning both of them, it just solidifies just how good of a heel he's been, and it was absolutely lovely to see as well. A heel in a triple threat who knows it's a no DQ, has his outside man get involved, and it was something I moaned about Retribution not doing for Ali in that fatal 4-way for the US title opportunity. And yeah, Jay was involved immediately with a couple of super kicks, and yeah, just an incredible match. And I understand why people are a bit gutted that Bryan and Edge don't win, because they are ultimate baby faces, but you got to keep the belt and the money, and the money won.
This for me, this saved WrestleMania night 2, because the rest of it, don't get me wrong, there was some good matches, but this was probably the match of WrestleMania for me. It was just so good. The powerbomb spot through the table where Reigns is cheering, Edge spear off the stairs. I love that spot. The crossface that Edge has on Roman Reigns. He then starts using the bit of the chair that's fallen off. Then Daniel Bryan gets in the ring, and it's just like, it was just that story of like Daniel Bryan always being there to sort of cost Edge or get involved where Edge doesn't need him to be. And then he gets the yes lock in, and that was just another moment in the match where he stops Reigns tapping and then puts him in that move. That was absolutely spectacular. And then, yeah, just like bits and pieces throughout the whole match, like you say, with Jay being involved, just so good. It just adds to that heel character for Reigns, who was just unbelievable again. And then, yeah, the part at the end where it looks like Reigns is dead and buried. Obviously, Edge has just concertoed Daniel Bryan, and then Jey Uso comes back in, destroys Edge, and then Reigns hits the spear, and then concertos Edge, puts their 2 lion bodies on together, and then he pins them both. I was just like, he's going to pin them both, and then he did, and it was just absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfection. I loved every second of that match.
Yeah, it was a really good match. For me, match of the night for night 2. Where do you sort of see the Universal Championship sort of heading now? Who do you want to see Roman Reigns sort of feud with next?
I think that sort of double pin was almost a image where it's sort of like, well, I'm done with these two. I imagine he moves on from these two. I can almost imagine Edge and Bryan maybe having a feud and sort of blaming each other that they didn't get the title. And I really want to see Cesaro up there, but I don't want him to be fed to Reigns. I'd quite like to see Cesaro beat Reigns. So I'm not too sure who goes next for Reigns, but I do think Edge and Bryan may be out of the picture now for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now because there's a whole host of wrestlers on SmackDown that can step up. I mean, for me personally, I think Edge and Bryan now will probably come off TV for a little bit, and they'll probably come back for some of the main shows further down. Because obviously, I think Edge pretty much did that last year. I know he got injured again, but Bryan's talking about this being maybe his last Mania. He's only got maybe another one or two in him, so I think they'll be off TV for a little bit now, and we'll probably see. I personally hope Roman Reigns now is the champ for another whole year. Just let him just go through the roster. I just think he's unbelievable. I'm absolutely loving his work. I mean, I know there come a time where he needs to drop the belt to elevate someone else and have another opportunity for them. But while he's in this such hot streak, I don't think you can take the belt off him at the moment. So it'd be interesting who they do give him. Like you say, I don't really want it to be Cesaro, but it could be someone like Big E, or I don't know. Do they want Big E to have the belt? It's like they've got to put someone in there now that I think Reigns is going to beat. So yeah, they could feed him like Nakamura or guys that weren't really in WrestleMania. Like Nakamura was only on the SmackDown show, wasn't he? In the Andre the Giant. So I don't really know. It'd be interesting who they do pick. So we'll see.
I think with Reigns as well, whoever you put him in there with, he's going to elevate. Like, look what he did with Jey Uso, and now he's main event Jey, and he's a big part of the main event of WrestleMania. So whoever you throw him in with, he's definitely going to elevate him to the next level. So any face will do against Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is looking like an absolute monster. He's looking like money, like you said, and I guess that's what WWE want from him at the moment. So, goal achieved. Let's look back on night two then. I mean, is it a silly question to ask for match of the night? I guess it's probably the main event for everyone. What would you say? Let's go second best match of the night then.
Second best of the night for me, I'd probably go Riddle, Sheamus. I think that was nice little surprise, amazing finish, really aggressive, incredible spots throughout. Perfectly timed, not too long, and yeah, just it's for a coveted belt, and yeah, I'm just a big Sheamus fan and love that he's been rewarded with a big opportunity now at Mania, and yeah, Sheamus Riddle for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go KO and Zayn. I think what it was built around, it was just such a good match. A shame it didn't go a little bit longer, and I think like the little crowd pleasers at the end, like the stunner to Logan Paul, and I think that was my second favourite.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Barnesy. I like the United States Championship match. Big fan of Sheamus as well, and yeah, really good match that. So looking back at WrestleMania as a whole, what would you say was the best match over the whole weekend? What's getting your vote?
For me, the main event tonight. It's for the Universal belt. Three guys, three absolute legends. They've all got their own story. One's come over leukemia. The other two, life, career-threatening injuries. The build to it, the best build by far to any show, and sometimes when you get the best build, you don't always get the match that follows, but these three just delivered. I just thought the story of the match was absolutely spot on. Again, perfectly timed. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. I just love Roman Reigns. That unpredictability, that's what you want as a wrestling fan, right? And when you're watching that match, at any point, you're like, any of them could win. And yeah, I just feel like it all just made sense for me, and I just absolutely lapped it up. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree with Barnesy. Just for the same reasons, the build, the story, and the match. There's not many people here in January would think that they would really want Daniel Bryan to win at April, but that crowd were really rooting for him as much as Edge. So, just the whole package of it, definitely match of the Mania.
I'm gonna stick with my night one favourite match, and that was Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Yeah, the build wasn't as good as some of the other matches, but the match absolutely delivered, and maybe it was even better than what I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be good, but it was even better than I thought. So I'm going to give it to the girls for my match of the weekend. In a word, night one or night two for you? Is the better of the two?
Night two. Night one. Sorry.
Yeah, night one as well.
Yeah, night one for me. And looking to next year, would you want to see WrestleMania on one night, or would you want to see it again over the 2 nights, and why?
For me, I would rather just see it over one night, and I feel like over one night it sort of in a way feels a little bit more prestigious. But it's really difficult to say that because, like we say, the 2 main events we've just picked as our match of the nights, and they both deserve to be in the main event. My only concern with it being one night is that it could be 5, 6, 7. You wouldn't put it past them putting it being 8 hours with a pre-show, so that's what puts me off. I think if you take out a couple of the matches that are just not needed, you can get a 4-hour solid card, and it would just be absolutely unbelievable. So for me, I'll say one night, just like a traditional thing as well.
I actually really enjoyed the 2 nights. But as well, I think having a 7-hour pay-per-view is too long, and like you'll see with these manias, they're not going to cut matches. So if this was over one night, do the women's tag match make this mania? Does the Raw tag team titles make this mania? But they probably will. So for 2 nights to have 2 sort of 3.5-hour shows, and then you get to keep everything you want on it, I think it's much better for the fans as well, because when we got to the Bryan Edge Reigns match, it was still pretty lively for it. As if that had gone 7 hours, it's hard to keep that energy. And once you've had a good amount of beer in you, and you're sort of all over the place, so they were nice and fresh for it. So yeah, I quite enjoyed the night 2s.
Yeah, I agree with George. For me, I hope it's 2 nights for the foreseeable future now. I thought it worked really well. You can get like 7 matches on each card. Nice sort of length as well, and like you said, you reward sort of 2 matches of being sort of the main event, and you get as many wrestlers on the card as you can. I mean, this is WrestleMania; everyone wants to be on it, and yeah, I really enjoyed having it over 2 nights. So in this country, it's quite hard to stay up for 2 nights in a row, but yeah, I hope they keep it up. Really.
Yeah. I hope as well they do more of the night 1 matches going into night 2, because I do like that aspect. It doesn't always have to be like a turmoil or knockout thing, but yeah, I do quite enjoy those sort of things, because you can have like a 6-man ladder match. Winner goes to title fight the next night. I do think they're good.
Well, we reviewed WrestleMania 35, didn't we? And it was the women's triple threat was the main event. By then, I just think the crowd were done for.
Yeah.
I just imagine how if they had like the crowd sort of fresh, that it would have added to the match. So for me, yeah, 2 nights all the way.
I think if they do it 2 nights again next year, don't pick it on such a busy weekend. You had the Masters. Obviously, over here we had the Grand National. You've got the football. It's just relentless. Like it's felt like a bit of a slog having it on for 2 nights. Especially after you've just done 2 nights of Stand and Deliver, the Hall of Fame, Raw. We got the Raw after Mania tomorrow. It's literally you're dedicating your life to wrestling for a whole week. And although it is amazing, it just felt like maybe if they were to do 2 nights, they could do it a week apart and do it on like the Sunday and then the following Sunday. So you got like, I think night 2 just deflated me a bit. I just don't think night 2 was very good at all. And I think that they could have just made night 1 slightly longer and better. I just don't feel like you can. I don't agree with the point that it gets as many people on the card as possible, because you think of all the people that still weren't on it this year, like Bayley, like we were just talking about. We don't just want people on there for the sake of them being on there. I want them to earn their right. It's like the Super Bowl. You only have 2 teams once a year. WrestleMania's the showcase of the Immortals. It's the best of the best. Have the best, the most deserving wrestlers of that year, or in the best storylines, the best matches. The one-offs, that's personally my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I think going back to one of your earlier points, I think having NXT Stand and Deliver over 2 nights as well, that maybe they won't do that in the future, because it has been too much over this week. For me, like trying to keep up with it has been tough. But Yeah, I disagree with what you said. I think they should try and get as many people on it as possible. I just think they wrestle all year round and they're traveling all around the world, and it's just like their sort of payoff, isn't it? Really, and I think if they deserve it, they should be on there. I mean, like, don't just put any old person on there, but yeah, I think the more the merrier.
It was bloody lovely not to have a 24/7 title on both nights as well. I've got to throw that out there. That was lovely.
Well, there's some news sort of coming out of WWE at the moment. Is that the commentators from Raw are changing? Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe are apparently not going to be commentating on Raw anymore. Tom Phillips obviously didn't even do WrestleMania. Michael Cole did the whole sort of 2 nights. What's your opinion on this?
I hope Samoa Joe is lacing up his boots first and foremost, and then big guy for Tom. I actually think he's pretty good. Like Barnsley was talking through the pod about Cole, he is just so. He's always like the video games now. Everything's so generic. He's just fed what to say. It almost feels like because he's been doing it for so long, for year in, year out, all that traveling, like you forget sometimes they travel along with those wrestlers all of those days. It just feels like he needs like a good 6 weeks just off, just to, find some passion for it all again, because it's just so scripted to him. It's just someone's in his ear just berating him, it seems like, and it just seems to have lost that passion. So, got for Tom, but see what this new guy brings and see what he offers differently.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel a bit sorry for Michael Cole because to we know what it's like doing a podcast for an hour or half an hour, and you're having to talk the whole way through. He's having to do it for 2 nights straight on his own. Basically, he's having Corey Graves and the other guys swap over, but he's doing a lot, and he doesn't. He's mainly dedicated to SmackDown. So for me, he should do the SmackDown matches, and the Raw guys should do the Raw matches, because some of the moments were lost in him not knowing the moves, him getting the moves wrong and being called out by Corey Graves. I mean, just the bit at the beginning where he called it WrestleMania, like just little things like that really wound me up. And yeah, I just feel like the Bel Air moment last night will never be ruined because it was just an unbelievable match. But to say she's going to kick out when she's like clearly won, it's like, are you even watching? It just infuriated me a little bit. But yeah, I'm a little bit sad for Tom as well, because I just felt like he was maybe the understudy for Michael Cole, and he was the one that they were going to sort of hand over to, almost in the way that Jim Ross went to Michael Cole, and now Michael Cole to Tom Phillips. So hopefully he's not gone off WWE for me, but. Don't get me wrong, it is nice to have a little change, and Corey Graves on Raw, I suppose getting him away from Carmella will be interesting as well.
Yeah, just going back to your point on Michael Cole and having to do the whole WrestleMania. So, as you know, I listen to other wrestling podcasts, and Jim Ross has one, and he was talking about WrestleMania 17 in this episode, and he was saying how it was the last WrestleMania where sort of one person called it the whole way through, because obviously from 18 I did the brand split, and so they're going like from one match to from Raw, SmackDown, etc. And he was saying that he found it easier commentating when he was doing the whole show. So he sort of felt that he was going with the flow of the show, and he wasn't sort of getting stopped in his sort of track sort of thing. So I mean, obviously people are different. Maybe Michael Cole feels like he needs the break, and maybe he's used to it because since he's been commentating, he's always on a pay-per-view had that sort of break. But it's just interesting to hear what JR said, his point of view. I agree. Tom Phillips has been very good on Raw, and it's a bit of a shame, really. I don't think he deserves to be replaced, personally.
I was just going to say, no, he's very clear in what he says. He was on NXT with Corey, I believe, as well, and they were really good down there together. So yeah, he's always sort of been Michael Cole's understudy. So yeah, bit of a shame. I don't know where he lands now. I hope we don't see any changes to the NXT current 3, because I really enjoy those 3 together. And although Vic Joseph, if he went up, would do an amazing job, I do want to see them 3 together. But yeah, harsh on Tom. Not sure where he goes from here, but yeah, best of luck to that. I can't remember his name, the guy coming in, but yeah, be interesting to see what he offers.
Yes, so one of the things to come out of WrestleMania is that they've said the next pay-per-view, which will be called WrestleMania Backlash. Obviously, we've just finished WrestleMania now. Usually, the Raw after WrestleMania, they get some sort of shocks and some returns or some call-ups. Looking forward to WrestleMania Backlash. Is there sort of any one or any feud you want to sort of see coming up? Or any feuds continue?
Yeah, I suppose we'll probably get Banks and Belair again, which I would love again. So looking forward, if they can build a lot more easier now because they've had a match, so everyone knows what they can expect. And I think Backlash in just its history and over the years, you do get a lot of rematches from WrestleMania. And now the fact they're calling it WrestleMania Backlash, you sort of can predict. Like Jordan said, you'll probably get Riddle, Sheamus again from the stare down at the end. I mean, we're probably going to get maybe Big E against Apollo again. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I suppose there'll be a lot of WrestleMania rematches.
Yeah, I think especially for the Raw side, which took over quite a lot of night 2, a lot of those feuds were set up pretty late on to when Mania week was coming about. So I imagine Sheamus Riddle goes over. So whatever has with the Fiend will probably go over, and I think we'll probably get Rhea, Ripley, Asuka again. Because there was a lot of stare downs on night 2 when the titles changed hands. They were all like holding the belt and staring at each other, and then after Ripley, I think it was, they teased the WrestleMania Backlash. So it seems like the more of the matches that happen on night 2 look like they're going to cross over to Backlash. So yeah, I mean, if we got Belair, Banks again, just give them the main event slot again. You've got more to work with now, feud wise. So yeah, run them back.
Nice one. Well, let's just put a line under WrestleMania now. Where does WrestleMania 37 sort of compare for you guys? Is it sort of in your top 5, or how do you sort of rate it?
I think if I was taking night 1 as a standalone, it would be up there for me. I think night 1 was unreal. If they'd have taken the main event from night 2 and added that to the end of night 1, I think it might have been one of the best WrestleManias of all time. But yeah, it's hard to compare it because it's obviously done over 2 nights. I think it was a solid Mania. I do think it was a really good WrestleMania. I really did enjoy watching it, and I think it's been a great week for wrestling fans. Obviously, you get highs and lows with every pay-per-view, but yeah, I think it was really good. I'm not sure about top 5 because, yeah, just trying to think of the other WrestleManias, and I think there's a few that still come to mind ahead of this one. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the 2 nights. I think because night 2 did feel a bit flat, they probably just needed to mix up those matches a little bit, because there were some strange results on night 2 that if they were mixed in with night 1 a little bit more, because night 1 had a lot of good feeling matches, so if you just swapped a couple about, I think you get 2 very more even nights. But as a whole, yeah, I loved them both. I was up for both of them, and yeah, I have no complaints about losing that sleep for them.
Yeah, I think you need to let the dust settle a little bit and maybe rewatch it. But for me, it was really good. I'm trying to. It's hard, like Bryan said, it's hard to compare because it is over 2 nights. But thinking back to the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I can't think of one that's been much better, if you know what I mean. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyable WrestleMania for me. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed WrestleMania, and hopefully you've enjoyed our podcast today and the ones we've done in the past, like the preview show and night 1 and our Pinfall Rewinds. This is only our 25th episode, and we're really enjoying doing it, and I hope that you're enjoying listening to it as well. If you are, please do give us a rating on Apple Pod. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming pods, which will be coming up soon. And all that's left to say is thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your support. We have been the Pinfall. It's time to ring the bell on WrestleMania season.